Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer. Today is March 23rd, 2023, and Pluto has officially moved into Aquarius today. I wanted to do this video today because I was inspired by Spirit to talk about the T-square that Pluto is making to the North and South node. This square is going to go on for quite some time, but right now the nodes are still in the Scorpio-Taurus axis, and this square is really illuminating and bringing a culmination before we move into the Libra Aries axis. And Pluto will be making a square there as well, but it'll be a different vibration, a different frequency. The Taurus and Scorpio axis is a lot about myself, my confidence, my ability to make money, to create pleasure and enjoyment for myself. Well, Taurus is very much about interacting with others and the power and the control that others have over us. Before I go into some of the things I've observed, I wanted to let you know that I've already done videos by rising sign for Saturn and Pluto's entry into their new signs. And this covers the whole spring. There's a lot of detail and dates that will be very pertinent for you. So if you want to look more closely at how this will affect you personally, I encourage you to check out those videos. I will put the links to each one of them in the description below. So what I want to do here today is talk about, this is how this all happened for me. I have my South node the South node was transiting Scorpio in my 8th house, and I have Mercury in the 8th house. And so when I started to experience the conjunction, I could feel the erosion the South node was creating in my mercurial dynamics. And initially it was jarring. Initially, I was fearful that there was death happening in my community, meaning I was losing clients. On further inspection, on the deep psychological opportunities that the sign of Scorpio and Pluto, its ruling planet, has to offer, gave me an awareness of things that was actually very empowering. Also, the things that Scorpio rules. So I thought what I wanted to do today was to talk a little bit about the T-square that the nodes are making to Pluto. The nodes at this time, on this day, are at 4 degrees. The nodes are always in opposition. So they're moving along the axis like this. And what I don't hear astrologers talk about often is that the nodes retrograde, and they retrograde a lot. And this is what I observed when the South node was hovering over my Mercury. I'm like, when is this thing moving away? When is it going on its way? And it never did. It just kept hanging out, moving forward, moving backward. Well, now we're seeing the same thing at the 4th degree. Now, this pattern intrigued me because we have had a series of full moons at the 16th degree of whatever sign the full moon was in, starting with Aries, and we'll have our final one in Libra. The 16 reduces down to a 7, but the 16 is also the degree, the Cancerian degree. The 4th degree is also the Cancerian degree. So here we're seeing the karmic nodes hanging out at the 4th degree on the axis of where my Taurus rules my family history, which can control my behavior because I have a certain way of believing about myself that was imprinted on me by my family and my childhood experience. And then when we go to the idea of Scorpio and Pluto, this is where I've commingled my money through marriage or partnership in business, and I'm vulnerable to this partnership and being aware of it. There is, within the Scorpio energy, there's the commingling of money. There is the inheriting of money through physical death. There is the commingling of the body, which makes people very vulnerable to their sexual partners. And I don't want to categorize this as a gender. I think when people come together and they are in an intimate situation where they're, literally naked to their partner, there is a vulnerability to that experience, and how will you be valued within it? So here we go. Pluto has been transiting Capricorn, looking at historic structures, looking at how we've built our lives. Saturn can rule fear. Pluto can rule fear. Pluto rules spaces that are dark, where we don't see clearly. It rules toxic energy. It rules the excretion of toxic waste, as does the South Node. And the North Node through all of this is where we're stretching to experience something we're unfamiliar with. When an astrologer does a past life chart, they look to your nodal structure for information. I also look at Chiron, but I believe this is very powerful because the ruler of the South Node is going to give us a clue as to what's going on with your intentions, with what you want to evolve into in this lifetime or become aware of. So I was looking at the degrees, and literally from the time that the nodes entered the Scorpio Taurus axis, we started to see a conversation with Pluto. But now what I'm going to focus in on in this video is how Pluto is interacting with the last degrees of the nodal structure before it moves into the Libra Aries axis, which is going to be very interesting. But what I want to say here too is if you've not been paying attention to where the nodes are in your chart, this would be a really good time, because the combination of Saturn and Pisces and some of the other transits that are happening independently of this T-square, this focal point where we're digging deep into Pluto's energy, the deep psychological imprint that I operate on. And sometimes I'm not even aware I operate on it because it's so ingrained in me. I call those beliefs. I refer to them as history and experiences that I've had to prove that I'm right about what I believe. Now the nodes are asking you, is that belief serving you? Is whatever's going on in your Scorpio energy, is it disempowering you or empowering you? Because the higher frequency of the Scorpio energy is to create and amass a great amount of wealth, and not only material wealth, but also the wealth and influence over others that can contribute beneficially to their lives. When we look at the Taurus part of this axis, this is where we are creating and building something using our skills, using our point of view. Now I want to talk about the idea of Aquarius. Aquarius is incorporating my genius, my brilliance, my invention, my willingness to take my unique expression and then contribute to humanity as a result of expressing it, and in concert with inviting others to express themselves. I really think that this new age that we're going into, the reason that Pluto has been so jarring to some of our material structures is because we are moving into an element where we're starting to realize that we are energetic beings inhabiting a physical experience so that we can apply the divine laws of the universe in this density and feel the empowerment and the exhilaration of our creation. I believe that as we become more aware of our soul and we become more aware of the contracts that we have made to walk through unknowing, to walk through fear, to feel trepidation, we know when we're in spirit that that is the recipe for our empowerment, for our achievement, for our feeling vital and having a zest for life. So right now, and I want to say this because the nodes have been already T-squaring Pluto. Now, I didn't really go too far into the dates because I feel like there's so many things this spring that are contributing. But where I'm going with this is that right now and until May, at least May, we are going to see the nodes hovering at 4 degrees. And when they go retrograde, and this is what I want to tell you too, because if you go into your natal chart and you see that your nodes are in retrograde, I believe this makes your willingness and your soul will, when it's retrograde, it's going to review whatever those dynamics are. So if indeed in your natal chart, your nodes are retrograde, then this is sort of akin to the idea that this is a big deal for you and that this is a dynamic within your soul's imprint that you really have an intention upon addressing in this lifetime. And it has this polarizing dynamic of either hooking you into the problem or really inspiring you into the solution. So this is why I think this is so important, because the children that are being born at this time will have this dynamic in their charts, which to me makes them revolutionary, makes them libertarians, makes them, innovators who will think outside the box. In fact, I don't even know if they will know what a box is by the time they become the creators of their own lives. Now, I'm not saying they aren't when they're children, but once they become adults, they're going to be ruling the planet. So I'm very, very excited about what these possibilities have for me, meaning when I'm brave to look at the structures that I have been building and what was the true foundation of those structures. Why did I make certain partnerships with other humans? Was I holding myself on a par with them? Or did I think by tucking up underneath them, they would offer me opportunities that I myself did not think I was capable of creating? This is what the T-square from the nodes to Pluto is addressing right now for each one of us. So let me quickly go through each one of the rising signs and talk about where the axis is for you, because there's really only 6 axes, right? We break the pie up, there's, so I don't want to be confusing. So this is going to be in a house. The house that this axis is in is going to represent the environment where you get to really look at the structures of what you've built, to dig deep into your own psychological imprint and ask yourself if you're empowering yourself in these moments, or if you're inadvertently hoping somebody else will come in and help save you. Because I don't want to make it as if you can't have cooperative relationships, but cooperative relationships are on an equal footing where we take turns or we are aware of each other's power and we nurture that power versus dominating another. So let's start with Aries. Aquarius is your 11th house, but the nodal axis is in the is in your 2nd and 8th house. So what we're seeing is the north node in Taurus and the south node in Scorpio, creating a focal point to how you interact in your networks, how you interact on the World Wide Web. Are you authentically expressing yourself? Because we also have Chiron and Jupiter transiting Aries in your 1st house, realigning your beliefs. So if for some reason you have felt like you had to be overly independent, or you felt like you had to care for others as if it was your job, the hero, to do that, this is giving you an opportunity to see what kind of structure that you have built and if it is truly aligned to the evolved version of what you want to experience on this planet, or if indeed you're hooking into or being tripped up by things that you have historically believed to be true, but now are evolving beyond that truth. Truth really is not a static, a bar to be measured by, but it is a perception and it is fluid as mankind evolves. At one point, man thought the earth was flat. And now we know very much it is not flat. So this is kind of where I'm going with this idea. So as you, Aries, give yourself an opportunity to liberate yourself, to be your authentic self, to really connect with the idea that as you express yourself out in the world, your hopes and your dreams, what you want in that 11th house energy, which is really to birth a part of yourself in the world, on the earth, not just in your own community, in a big, big way. And this is giving you an opportunity to be seen as a leader and to be seen as a pioneer and to be seen as a hero versus to be seen as a dominant energy coming in to take over and to extract whatever's only benefits you, which is really an unfair view of Aries, I think, because it's pigeonholed that way all the time. And being an Aries rising, I don't really resonate with that idea. I've always hated the idea of war, really. And I want to offer this too, because Aries, your ruling planet is Mars, and Mars co-rules Scorpio. So this access, especially the South Node, is very powerful for you to see where you're willing to let go of the ego of dominance or of moving so quickly through a situation that you don't consider other people's feelings and how they land. That's why Mars was in Gemini for all that time, so that you could have an awareness and be an inspiring leader. So as we walk through this period of time with this focal point, it's going to ask you to dig into deeper and deeper levels of your psychological imprint. It's not about going into your past. It's really about staying in the present. And am I making those decisions based on my expansion or my contraction? Taurus, this is in your 1st and 7th houses where the nodes have been. Your sense of self and your sense of cooperation. And then it's making a focal point to your public status, how people see you in the public eye, which can be your relationships, marriage, and professional partners, because here again, we're seeing this on the 1st and 7th houses. Having the North Node and Uranus transiting your 1st house has been encouraging you to liberate yourself. Uranus rules Aquarius. Aquarius is your 10th house. So this is really an opportunity for you because you're a fixed sign. And this is where the fixed signs can feel a bit challenged. They're kind of sandwiched into their quadrant between the cardinal and the mutable. So here, if you've been fixed in any hurts, in any pain, in any dark places, and you're like, I can't move forward until that dark place has light, are you serving yourself or are you tethering yourself to a dark place? And this dark place may inadvertently have something to do with your relationships, with how diplomatic and how harmonious and how much peace you're creating in your 7th house energy. Because I believe that the South Node, while it rules a karmic behavioral familiarity, a pattern, habitual energies, it also to me is where I edge God out, where I'm seeing things from such a human perception that I'm not seeing the broader opportunities that are being offered to me. So this is what I think has been going on, because this 1st house and you expressing yourself authentically, Jupiter's about to move into your 1st house, and all the dynamics that you've been experiencing as the nodal axis has challenged you is so that you can take advantage of the expansion and the new beliefs that you will root into the earth experience when Jupiter moves into your 1st house in July. And I'll have a video on that as well. Gemini. This, for me, the Taurus Scorpio axis has been in your 12th and 6th house. Taurus is your 12th house. Scorpio is your 6th house. And the house of Aquarius is your 9th house. While the 12th house and 6th house are normally considered a physical apparatus, hospitals and health, I'm going to go straight up to your mental health, to how you feel, how you think, the permissions you've given yourself over the last year and a half to rewrite your belief system so that it serves your happiness, what you want as you move forward. Saturn has moved into your 10th house of Pisces, and this is going to give you an opportunity to change and to implement structures at a deep level for your own creativity, for what's authentic to you and your heart. And I think that the idea that the Scorpio South Node going through your 6th house of enslavement and of work and employment has offered you an opportunity to be egoless to other people's opinions about you personally, and asked you to stretch into that Taurus energy, to liberate yourself from potential past life energies that have tethered you. The 12th house is very much ancestral, very much about past lives and the energies that we bring in that are unconsciously imprinted upon us. If you've ever seen twins born or twins in their first couple of years of life, you will start to really believe in past lives because they don't act the same. They're born on the same day, often within the same few minutes, and they can be very, very different in how they perceive and operate in the world, regardless whether they're of differing genders. Because you could see two that are the same gender that perceive things so differently. And I think this is so fascinating. So I really want to offer this because Gemini rules the twins. So as you start to look at things from a different perception, from two different sides of the room, you will rewrite your beliefs, liberate yourself from any chains that have enslaved you to feeling that you must be dutiful to others. You must provide the information. You must be there serving them versus the idea that as you serve yourself, you actually serve others because you come into balance within the mind. And the mind is where we harbor and host our beliefs, and then where we take our actions from. So this is very powerful. For my Cancers, Taurus is your 11th house and Scorpio is your 5th house. The Aquarius is your 8th house. So here what we're seeing is Pluto dipping into the house of transformation that it naturally rules. So we are going to see, as the Taurus is North Node is your 11th house and Scorpio is in your 5th house. This is a house, this is an axis of creativity, of personal expression. The 5th house is naturally ruled by Leo. So this is where the performer lives. This is where the clown lives. This is where the child is conceived. This is where romance lives. This has been an opportunity for you, Cancer, who can potentially be overly nurturing to energies that actually are erosive to the self, that are depleting to the self. There is an opportunity here for you in your house of romance to be egoless as you review, am I nurturing myself in these energies? I started this video talking about the nodes are hovering at the 4th degree, which is creating this T-square to Pluto. And the nodes are only going to go into smaller degrees, the 3rd degree, the 2nd degree, the 1st degree. So this T-square is going to become tighter and tighter. And this is really about, how do I trust the idea of my own intuition? Cancer, you have basically influenced the last 7 full moons, or I should say 6. We've got one more full moon in Libra coming because they've all been at the 16th degree. This is the Cancerian degree. The nodes at this time are at the 4th degree. Again, the Cancerian degree. I can talk about home, I can talk about hearth, but I want to talk about nurturing and intuition. What your intuition tells you when it argues with how you're nurturing somebody else and nurturing them beyond your own comfort level or what you're receiving back. So I think that what's been happening is the nodes have gone through this access of personal expression and personal pleasure and creativity. It's been offering you an opportunity to liberate yourself from anywhere where you've been feeling that you must give without receiving. And I want to offer it this way because I don't know that this is about, as we go into Pluto dips into the toe, it dips its toe into the 8th house. This is another house where we are talking about power and control. Either we have over others or they have over us. So I think while Pluto's at that 0 degree, it's an opportunity to kind of step back, Cancer, and to allow whatever you initially feel, which could be fear-based and imprinted and patterned, to quiet down before you have a true inspiration based on a new frequency or vibration, a transformed one that is offering you, because we know that Pluto's been opposing you as it was going through Cancer. So that it was really unearthing places where you may have felt, if I take care of you more than I take care of me, then you'll love me more than I love myself. And I don't want to make like we can't be happy if we don't love ourselves, but a certain amount of ebb and flow with loving ourselves and considering ourselves fabulously flawed. I used to tell people that I was fabulously flawed all the time because I don't want to try to be perfect. I don't want to, it doesn't feel natural to me to care more for someone else than I care for myself. It feels like a recipe for me to hate them and resent them. So this is really important for you to allow for the transformation that gives life and zest and vitality to your own pleasure, fun, enjoyment, creation, imagination, your musings. Okay, Leo, we are seeing you've been experiencing the Taurus Scorpio axis in your 10th and 4th house, Taurus being your 10th house, Scorpio being your 4th house, and now Aquarius is your 7th house. The Scorpio being your 4th house is the very bottom of the Zodiac. It is also kind of in alignment with the idea that the nodes are sitting at the 4th degree right now. So here I'm going back to the idea of intuition, of trusting that inner knowing, even when it's telling me something I may not like, something that feels like it's going to trip up what I know provides me security. And actually, does it provide security, or is it only providing security from what your eyes can see versus what your interior body knows is true and where there is more power? Because the 10th house being your house of Taurus is not only the public eye, but it's also your voice, your personal self-expression, what you create with your hands, with your skills. And if you've been fearful of expressing your skills, I think that, or expressing yourself authentically, because again, Uranus has been going through this house, kind of offering these little eruptions for authenticity. They're not, it's not really meant to blindside you and pull the rug out from underneath you, as much as Uranus could be asking you repeatedly if you're standing in a vibration that's true to who and what you want to be. And are you using your skills because you enjoy them, or are you using them because you're fearful you will lose money? You need money, so you're staying in one, or you've been trying to stay in one place and try to secure that, when actually that very one thing is something that doesn't make you happy at all. Because as Uranus moves into your 7th house, as Pluto moves into your 7th house of Aquarius, I kind of think this is more about how are you fostering peace for yourself? How are you being diplomatic? How are you creating harmony in your partnerships, in your collaborations? Because if for some reason that 4th house has been making you feel like I can't for some reason, then I think that this focal point is really going to illuminate where maybe you're holding yourself hostage. You're thinking to yourself, maybe I can't do something until my partner does something. I can't do something until something outside of myself lines up. And it may not line up until you give life for it to line up. That's where I'm going with that. I hope it makes sense for you, Leo. For my Virgos, we are seeing Scorpio has been the South Node in Scorpio has been traversing your 3rd house. Taurus has the North Node has been traversing Taurus in your 9th house, and the Pluto is moving into your 6th house, which is Aquarius. This is Virgo rising. Now, you naturally rule the 6th house. So there is really, for me, a liberation going on in the way that you think. In the way that, if we think about Mercury rules short bits of information, it zips around the zodiac, not really fleshing out deep levels of that information. It's like TikTok. It's like Twitter. It is very quick and moving forward. And the other thing about Mercury is it has no moons. And I bring that up not because I think that Virgo doesn't have emotions, but that I feel like the planet, your ruling planet, not having a moon actually gives more life to you being in your head versus being in your heart. And when you're in your heart, are you really serving the people that you are being practical and dependable to? The 6th house rules slavery, and Aquarius rules liberation from slavery. And as Pluto moves into it, what we're going to see is an opportunity for you to really recognize the deep levels of belief that have been ingrained to you, either through your this life's experience and potentially previous life experiences. Because Taurus, being your ninth house, has offered you an opportunity to broaden that thought, to go into new philosophies and ideologies. And Scorpio, being your third house, has really offered you an opportunity to see where potentially the monkey mind takes you into dark places that don't serve you, that actually trap you from being able to move towards what your heart's desires are. This is one of the challenges when we get to the earth signs. We're talking about energies that are really focused on building here in this plane with these five senses. And I believe that the Pluto moving into Aquarius is adding a sixth sense into this mixture. And this is why we've been seeing Pluto deconstructing old historic things that are built on imbalance and inequality. So I think this is very powerful for you, because I think where we're going to see Aquarius energy most influential is on the interior of you, not the exterior. And I say Aquarian energy because this house of transformation, and the next 20 years is going to offer you a multitude of experiences. And the South Node and North Node making this T-square are just starting the chapter where we open up the old so that it can be exposed and renovated and rebirthed. Libra, Aquarius is your fifth house, Taurus is your eighth house, and Scorpio is your second house. So Scorpio has been traversing. This is interesting because this is where we see the nodes flip. So in Aries, we had the North Node in the second house and the South Node in the eighth house. And here now we see North Node in the eighth house and Scorpio being your second house. So if you have hidden skills, if you have imprints from your childhood that have told you that you're less than, that you're as you serve others, you create value versus when you serve yourself. If you've been trained to be a cooperative energy that has felt depleting to you, this is where I believe you have an opportunity to truly birth a new version of yourself. With Taurus being your eighth house, Taurus is ruled by Venus. Venus rules beauty, comfort. And I think that this is about somewhere finding your individuality inside of this transformation. Libra, as Aquarius, as Pluto enters Aquarius, your fifth house, how you enjoy yourself, how you express that creativity that Venus wants to express. Are you an artist, a designer? You could be creative within the paternal experience, the idea of conceiving children and how you want to raise your children. And this is an opportunity to liberate yourself from old versions of other people's opinions and influence over how you operate. Because Libra wants to create harmony and peace, often they defer their own wants and desires to the other humans who are more vocal or more assertive about what they want. And here, I think this is where we're going to start to rewrite that, where your own personal pleasures and your own personal wants and desires come on the table in a way that is not trying to argue with the others, but actually fostering them in a more, I want to say, dynamic way. With the South Node going through your second house, it's been asking you, Libra, to be egoless in your family experience, to extract how that, even if it was dark, and disruptive, it served you, it propelled you, it compelled you to move in a certain direction. You don't need to thank those people, you don't need to applaud them, but just taking that blessing of focus and now allowing yourself to move in that direction offers immense transformation and the ability to make a lot of money as you allow your personal creations to be birthed into this planet. That's where Pluto creates billionaires. Very, very exciting times. Scorpio, you have had the South Node traversing your first house. You have had Taurus in your the North Node traversing Taurus, your 7th house. And now we see Pluto enter your 4th house, which is Aquarius. So Scorpio rising, Aquarius is the house of your homeland, the house of your home environment growing up, how you nurture yourself, how you express and nurture other people. If for some reason Aquarius can be so innovative that it can make you feel alien. And if you were raised by people who thought outside the box, you may inadvertently have been, how do I want to phrase this? I feel like what I'm trying to say is that your ability to look deep beneath the surface of other people's unique expression allows you an opportunity for fertile ground versus being pulled under by that uniqueness. So let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Let's say that you're a Scorpio and your parents are from another country. And let's say that they moved from Europe to the United States. And as you grew up, the European culture was very different than your, say, childhood upbringing when you would go to school. And so you felt different in that way. This is an opportunity to embrace that difference and to allow it to create dynamics that liberate and propel you into bigger hopes and dreams and what you want for yourself and the family that you create moving forward. I think that the idea that Scorpio is been really examining how you operate in partnership, Taurus in the 7th house and Scorpio being your 1st house, because both are fixed signs. So there could be there could have been a push-pull of, am I valuable if I focus on myself to my partner, or will I be able to even create partnerships because I want to dig deep into that connection? And Taurus might be more focused in on security. And I think while both signs, your 1st house, Scorpio and Taurus, they're both about security. So Scorpio creates security through its connections, through, sometimes through inheritance, sometimes you're the money manager and you create your own wealth by managing and creating wealth for others. And so now when we're looking at the idea that Taurus is in your 7th house and the North Node is there, I think this is reaching for more balance in partnerships where your partners also create a dynamic. So I think that when we're looking at this T-square and we're looking at the Pluto moving into your 4th house, there is a very high probability that you are going to start examining how you feel nurtured at the deep level of who you are, not maybe how you just present yourself out into the world. Scorpio gets this rap for being intense and brooding, okay? And you can be, but I think that there is a wisdom to that intensity and to that brooding, because there's an inner knowing that there's more out there. Scorpio also rules what you cannot see in the form of the occult. So it could technically rule the divine laws of the universe that we cannot see with our eyes, but yet we can feel with our inner being and with our focus. And Scorpio knows power and control because it is highly focused. So as you're focusing in on what it is that you want to create in the way of uniqueness, in the way of embracing the uniqueness and expanding upon that, the acceptance of new experiences, the invention of new dynamics within the home environment. This time in the 21st century, we are seeing families created in ways we never had before. And as we embrace those families based on love, not on gender or material dynamics that, again, are antiquated, which is what was happening or what has been broken up as Pluto went through Capricorn. So I think this is a real time to focus on what can be versus what has been. That's what I want to say for Scorpio. Okay, for Sagittarius, we are seeing all of this happening in the axis of thought and of karmic patterns. Scorpio is your 12th house. Taurus is your 6th house. This is, again, an access to me that speaks very much to the mental process and the places where I have been habitually enslaved or engulfed by the human experience and how humans think. Historically, people who thought outside of the box were persecuted, were literally held up as representatives of what will happen to you in a dark way if you don't align to what other people think. So here's Sagittarius rules, broad thoughts. It rules, thinking outside the box. It rules literally traveling from one place to another, foreign lands, foreign concepts, foreign foods, foreign cultures, foreign philosophies. It rules the connection to that which cannot be seen, the angelic realm. So we're having an opportunity, as Scorpio is your 12th house, and as the South Node has been transiting, for you to be egoless in any victimhood you felt, any places you felt unseen. It's giving you an opportunity to build new thoughts as Uranus is transiting your 6th house to literally liberate you from any thoughts that have enslaved you, loops that go back and forth. Zip, zip, zip. And then we see this focal point coming into this 3rd house, giving you an opportunity to create new energies within your everyday experiences. The 3rd house rules what I think, what I speak, what I write, and which is all over the internet. We're always inputting on the internet, our emails. It rules our siblings. It rules our teammates, our workmates, our roadways. So this is really an opportunity to experience a whole new dynamic within your everyday life as you are becoming more aware of patterns that have entrapped you, and patterns that have been so deeply imprinted in you that you didn't even realize that they were there. Okay, Capricorn. Oh, wow. So let's just talk about the transformation that Capricorn has been going through as Pluto has been going through your 1st house. Now Pluto is going to move into your 2nd house, offering you an opportunity to really capitalize not only on your self-worth, the 2nd house, but on monetarily, using your skills and your natural ability to build. Right now, I think it's an exciting time to be a Capricorn, to be honest with you, because I think this is a time when you will be able to really birth a new version of yourself. I was watching TikTok yesterday, and I'm in love with baby goats, and I'm in love with Capricorn and goats in general. But when you see a baby goat, they are beyond joyous. They literally look like they have rocket fuel under their hooves, and they pop up and they dance around. This is what is being offered to you, because Taurus is your 5th house of self-expression and creativity and the conception of children and romance and all things that bring pleasure. And Uranus has been transiting that house, liberating you from the chains that have enslaved you. The 11th house, Scorpio, is where we've seen the South Node traversing, giving you an opportunity to be egoless about what your hopes and desires are. And when I say egoless, it's about thinking, I really want this. Oh, but Joe Blow isn't going to like it if I do that, so I better not do that. Or thinking, I need to serve humanity and do things for other people that don't put me in the mix. And this is where I think the idea that Scorpio is your 11th house is about, really, have I been edging God out? Is my unique expression in way actually serving other people because they're used to seeing me as a solid leader that builds in the 3D world? There is so much opportunity here for you, Capricorn, to start to really have a lot more fun in your life and enjoy yourself and express yourself in ways that you never have before. The 2nd house rules your skills with your hands and your voice. So if you're a singer, if you're a dancer, if you're, an inspirational speaker, let yourself move that direction. And I know I just said dancer because I feel like it has everything to do with moving my body, using the 2nd house we traditionally think of as still up in this quadrant, but I also think it's the voice that gives me confidence to do every other thing that I want to do. And with Saturn moving through Pisces, there's a lot of creativity that is about to be birthed, and in ways that make it feel like a solid platform for humans to feel happiness. And it's going to be accepted in a way where up until now, it's been a luxury. All right, Aquarius, let's talk about this. Pluto's moving into your first house, and this is going to liberate you in ways that you could not imagine. But the first thing it's going to do is create tension, because the tenseness is going to come from the North Node traversing your 4th house and the South Node traversing your 10th house. So this is this access of the North, of the 4th and the 10th house is very much about how I'm perceived in the public eye based on how, what sits underneath me, and what I've learned about myself through where I've my country of origin, my experiences of my family and who and what they are. And also, again, we're talking about how I nurture myself and how I honor my intuitions. I believe that Aquarius is very intuitive, but it comes out in the form of genius, in the form of these inventive ideas. So as you have been liberated from how you've been defined in your 4th house energy, because if you've been defined as the oddball, if you've been defined as the alien, or even if you've been pigeonholed as, having some sort of savant mental abilities, ADHD, HD, I don't even know the call letters, because to me, many of the geniuses of yesteryear would have these quote unquote mental diagnoses if they were living today. It is strictly a focus. And I believe that you have an ability to take your North Node, Uranus, and really anchor that into your 4th house activity, so it creates a platform for you to now excel in the public eye, meaning that as the South Node is transited your 10th house, you being egoless to how you have processed those feelings of not being accepted in the public eye, of being different, or of wanting different things, or even of platforms that you've built in your career that now get to evolve. And so some of them went away, or some of them eroded in some way. This is offering you an opportunity for a new chapter of who and what you are, and how you want to express yourself, and how you want to accept yourself for your brilliance and your genius and your invention, which is not going to look like anybody else. So this is really fabulous for you, because once you get down and you go, you know what? Pluto in my first house is telling me I don't want to be like anybody else. I actually like me at a very deep, deep level. And I'm going to start to foster that and nurture that. But before I do, I'm going to feel a little bit of tension, because I'm reconciling that experience that is turning what used to be pulled me under is now lifting me up. Okay. Finally, our Pisces. We are looking at all of this is in your axis of belief and thought and historic energy. Aquarius is your 12th house, and you naturally rule the 12th house. So Pluto is going to liberate you and unearth deep historic past life karmic patterns and choices where you potentially have victimized yourself, or given your power away at such an extent that you were not seen, that you were left almost feeling alone and feeling as if you've been put away in some respects. Now, with the North Node transiting your 3rd house, this has really been encouraging you, as is Uranus, to liberate yourself from any small thoughts, from any thoughts that tether you to a small existence on this planet, that actually support the significance of you being not seen. Uranus is going in there, and you're going to throw in these little lightning bolts, these little bombs that are saying, no, that's not true. And with your 9th house being Scorpio, the South Node has asked you to truly be egoless in what you believe about what is expected of you. This 9th house, while it rules education, higher education, rules foreign travel, the South Node has been asking you to really allow the beliefs that you have that haven't served you to be released, to be incorporated, to be, I can't help but use this motion. It's almost like I want to flush them out so that they can now support a bigger version of who I want to be. Hence the North Node in Taurus, sort of allowing you to build a new foundation. Taurus builds, Taurus grows, Taurus plants seeds and then nurtures those seeds to fruition. So this is nurturing the seeds of your mind to be the victor instead of the victim, to be compassionate, but not to ignore the self. I think this is very important because, again, Pisces rules the 12th house. Aquarius is your 12th house. So this is about being liberated from not being seen and to allow yourself to dig even deeper into the idea that you are a creative being, that you are dreamy and fanciful and whimsical, and that you bring by nature a sense of softness and compassion and beauty to this planet. And for you to emerge or allow yourself to be absorbed by others' energy is really not serving you or them, because oftentimes that other energy will be out of balance. So when you stand in this, what do I believe about this? Am I willing to expand my beliefs? Am I willing to say that, wow, when I am compassionate about your issue, but I don't turn to address your issue and fix your issue, or to hold your hand through your issue, but rather work on myself, play with how am I expressing my creativity in my everyday world? How am I being authentic to who I am in my everyday life? And as I, Pisces, do that, Saturn moving into your first house is going to build amazing things for you, amazing dynamics over the next 2 years. But there is going to be a tenacity that's required, because a T-square is not an easy aspect. It is a focal point between what used to be and what can be, what has been and what wants to be. And that's why I always think of a square as a fork in the road. So that's what I want to say about Pluto, just in general. Again, I want to encourage you all to go look for my videos where I have literally addressed the house and for Saturn's transit into Pisces and Pluto's transit into Aquarius. And I've covered some very significant dates for spring 2023. I will put those in the description. I'll put the links to those videos in the description below so you can easily click on them. And if you're interested in getting a reading from me, I am available. Reach out to me. I don't put any of my pricing or information on my website because basically my website needs to be upgraded and I haven't had a chance to do it. So you have to reach out. All right, guys, thanks so much. I'm excited about creating more content that you want to see. So please let me know in the comments what interests you, what you're curious about, what you want to learn about, because on my channel, we're going to stretch for the highest vibrations of these planets and we're going to anchor them into this earth plane and we're going to thrive, not survive. Peace out, everybody. See you next time.